So I must have seen every variation of Tetris. People, whenever they see one on the internet, they're like, James, you've got to try this. And I get links in my email every week. Try this game of Tetris, try this game of Tetris. And it's been frustrating because for years there's not been anything new. So about a year ago, I decided that I would write one. And so I sat down and I thought, what is it that made the first game of Tetris addictive? What is it that made it such a wonderful game? And I tried to strip away everything else and just leave the addictiveness. And I settled down and I wrote this game called Concentricity. I wanted to try with this game to recapture what it was about Tetris that made it so good in the first place. So all of the, what is it that makes Tetris a really addictive game? Is it the simplicity of the game? I think probably. I think it's the fact that without trying, it gives you really heart-racing moments. It gives your brain something to do. It's a puzzle to solve. And there's a pace to the game which is really satisfying as well. I think it's, like many traditional puzzles, it's quite tactile. And that's missing from a lot of modern computer games altogether. Well, originally I had some sort of plonky music that would go with the game as well to just try and get you humming the tune, but too many people objected, and so I took it out. And obviously something really colourful, but mostly just something that would get your heart racing and then give you a relief and then get your heart racing again, and something that you could feel satisfaction that you'd done well. The first iteration was terrible. I produced it, and to be honest with you, I thought, yeah, that's what I was trying to do. I've done it. And then I played it, and it was just terrible. It had no rhythm, it had no pace. It was very artificial in the way you had to play it. It didn't feel like you could just pick it up and just immediately be lost and absorbed in the game. And so my first attempt was not so good. And then I shelved it for a while. I shelved it and I went away to Central America. I took a long walk and I did some physics. And then I decided that I'd have another go. And so I talked about it with a few people and just changed the idea, just really subtly, changed the way you interact with the game, reworked the artwork a little bit just to try and make it. I think with the artwork, I was just trying too hard the first time. And it didn't need that. It's a simple game. It just needs simple artwork. So I reworked it, and I came up with something that I thought was genuinely really, really good. And I've published it. It's on the App Store, and people like it. People who are playing it. The most satisfying thing for me is that the people who are playing it are getting addicted to it. And that's what I set out to do. I set out to try and make an addictive game, and I've done that. They're addicted to it, and they love it. And they're coming back to me and they're saying, this is great. How the hell do I get past level 4? And that's what I wanted. I wanted people to get engrossed in it. And it's ridiculously simple as a game, and it's ridiculous that people should be getting stuck at level 4. Just to reassure you, I can do to level 25. So it is possible. What I've done, and it's going to sound really simple, but what I've done is I've taken Tetris and I've wrapped it around on itself. And so it's become a circle that you can move in instead of a grid that you can move backwards and forwards on. And that came with a number of challenges. The piece now launches from the middle, and that necessitates a symmetry. And 4 blocks, a Tetris piece, doesn't have that symmetry. When you rotate it, the symmetry goes from one side to the other side. Okay, so that didn't work. So I had to throw away one of the blocks completely, and we ended up with a 3 block, which naturally has a symmetry. It can rotate around its central piece. So then I threw away the idea of all of the pieces being made out of 4 blocks, and some are made out of 4 and some are made out of 3 to maintain the symmetry. And then there's the challenge of how do you spin the piece as it's falling? And I thought, well, that's not necessary in the game. It's a different game. It's not Tetris. But now the pieces, once you've launched them, you can't spin them. So that makes the game very much more unforgiving, because you can't slide a piece underneath another piece. You can't spin a piece into place. You've got to decide where you're going to put it, and then you've got to live with the consequences of that for the rest of the game. And so it's an enormously frustrating game. And then, of course, in Tetris, the problem comes that you reach the top of the screen and that's game over. Well, there's no natural end to concentricity if the pieces won't naturally fall and reach the top of the screen. So I decided that there needed to be a timer. And I created an encroaching timer which begins in the middle and expands outwards and crashes into the pieces. And when it crashes into the pieces, that's the end of the game. And for the best bit, I think, of concentricity is that when the timer reaches the blocks, it flashes red. And it's a womp, womp, womp type effect. And the sound and the red flashing, it's a real hazard. And it makes people panic every time. I've seen people play and, oh, what's going on? And that's exactly what I was hoping for. And when I play it, it works for me. I'll be there and, oh, no. And so I'm sort of, it really gives you those little flustered moments of adrenaline, which I think a good computer game should give you. And I'm really proud of that. I'm really proud of just that womp, 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 which is a silly thing, but it worked just better than I possibly could have hoped for.
You said when people send you variations on Tetris, you've always thought, this is no good, it's not as good as the original. Are people going to think that about your game?
Maybe. There's a matter of taste. Now, it's different. It's different enough from Tetris that it's not the same game anymore. So it would be, for me, it would be sad if it was compared with Tetris directly. Obviously, it's heavily influenced by Tetris. I mean, it's written by me. But it isn't Tetris. You can't play it like Tetris. If you try and play it like Tetris, you're going to lose straight away. You have to think differently, and this is what I love about it. You know, when I said Tetris was a puzzle for you to solve, this is a puzzle for you to solve, and it's a different puzzle. And actually, the solution's different. So just like a set of wooden blocks can be used to make an interesting and tactile puzzle, that's what I've done. I've made, with the pixels, I've made an interesting and a tactile puzzle, but it's not the same solution, definitely not. And so, as a warning to anybody thinking of playing it, you know, you have to rethink it completely, because you've got to build circles, not lines.
Is making any variation or anything influenced by Tetris almost a bit sacrilegious, like making new Star Wars movies?
Oh, don't start me on new Star Wars movies. I guess that from my perspective, and my perspective is maybe almost unique, there's never going to be something which is as good as Tetris. It was the definitive computer game. It's a computer game without violence. It's a computer game which gives you an adrenaline rush. It's a computer game which you can play for a minute or for 5 hours, apparently. It's a computer game which, you know, it's just perfect. And I would never even hope to assume that I could do that. But in writing something new, that's exactly what I was trying to recapture. And if I've come even halfway there, I'll be very proud. So what I hope I've created is a game which is perfect for commuters sitting on a train. I've been that guy sitting on a train bored, you know, and I've got nothing to do, so I used to play Snake because it was the 90s. And that's what people did in the 90s. Or, you know, so if you've got half an hour to kill on a train, then I think it's the perfect thing.
Why did you make it? Do you want to be rich, or like what was your objective?
Oh, well, I want to be rich and famous. No, it was very much a sense of self-satisfaction. I felt that I could do something good, and so I set out to create the very best game that I could for myself. I didn't want to make lots of money from it. That would be nice, obviously, but that wasn't my goal. I really wanted to make something that I wanted to play, and I want to play this game. It's a great game. What more could you hope for?